Ava Ramirez stood beneath the marbled porte-cochere of the Hollywood Hotel, suitcase wheels clicking across terrazzo that gleamed like a restored film still. Night traffic on Sunset Boulevard hissed past, but inside the revolving door was another century. Fluted gold columns, bulbous light globes, a perfume of lemon polish and cold dust. She took her phone from the back pocket of ripped black jeans, already framing a selfie. 8 million followers expected proof that the invite, influencer in residence, grand reopening wasn't another PR myth. With the front-facing camera angled just so, she centered the lobby's chandelier behind her head like a halo. Snap! The capture showed something extra. A pale woman in a beaded 1930s gown, drifting near the concierge desk. Ava lowered the phone and blinked. The lobby itself was empty save for a single bellhop, humming. The woman had vanished if she'd ever been there. A shiver climbed Ava's spine, but the dopamine tingle of fresh content dulled it. She thumbed post. At Avalon's hitting rewind at the reborn hashtag Hollywood Hotel, hashtag INFLUENCER stay, hashtag haunted glam. Within seconds, hearts bloomed across the screen. Comments flooded in. Who's the flapper photobombing? Filter fail awesome. Girl, is that a ghost? Ava's chest fluttered validation. The one addiction no detox cured. A bellhop in pressed maroon livery appeared beside her, almost materializing from the mirrored wall. His nametag read Richie. He flashed a grin, offered to wheel her suitcase, then leaned toward the phone still open in her hand. Mind if I jump in? He asked, half joking. Need every chance to go viral. Ava laughed, lifted the camera. Richie popped a peace sign behind her shoulder. Snap. In preview, Richie's eyes looked cloudy, almost cataract white. Before she could comment, the image glitch stuttered. A black frame hiccuped, then the thumbnail returned to normal. Ava chalked it up to low lobby WI fee and let the bellhop guide her toward the front desk. Mr. Delacroix, the concierge, had the kind of posture that suggested old-school studio casting. Ramrod spine, mournful mustache. He slid a parchment guest book across the counter. Signature, Ms. Ramirez, and enjoy your residency. You'll find we honor the past here. The fountain pen looked antique, its gold nib etched with tiny camera apertures. As Ava signed, ink bloomed upward against gravity, swirling into 2 words before drawing flat. Roll camera number 2. She blinked. The letters were gone, her signature flawless. She stared at Delacroix, but his placid smile offered no clue whether he'd seen the phenomenon. A faint vibration buzzed her phone. New follower, at Bellhope Richie. She laughed. Richie must have followed her after their selfie. She tapped the account. 0 posts, profile picture loading. A spinning wheel. Then the screen flashed error. Video unavailable. Richie ushered her into the brass-caged elevator. The doors closed with a clatter like a shutter. As they rose, mirror panels reflected Ava's face a dozen times. In the 5th reflection from the left, her mouth didn't move with the others. It curled into a sly half-smile. The lights flickered, Ava glanced at Richie. He looked pale, sweat pooling above his collar. "You okay?" she asked. A flicker of confusion crossed his clouding eyes. He swallowed. "Just elevator vertigo." Ding. Floor 7. The hallway smelled of lilac and fixative. Art Deco sconces pulsed faintly, as though breathing. Richie rolled the suitcase to Suite 708. "A glorious stay to you, Miss Ramirez," he said. When Ava tipped him, his hand trembled. The coins clinked like distant applause. Vintage glamour met influencer minimalism. Velvet fainting couch, crimson drapes, and a 65-inch old mounted opposite the bed. Ava propped her phone on a tripod, intending a quick unboxing live stream. Her ring light cast moon-white circles in the window glass. She opened the mini-bar old-fashioned glass bottles, labeled in scrolling script, and found a welcome gift. An original 1930s Brownie camera, satin ribboned. A cream tag read for your exposures past, present, future. Before going live, Ava tapped to check messages. A new DM from at Bellhop Richie. "Help me, they put me in the picture." The text erased itself, replaced by a looping 8-second video. A corridor shot in sepia. Richie lay against a wall, eyes white, mouth open in silent scream. Behind him, the pale woman from the lobby stepped forward, reaching for the lens. The clip looped. With each pass, Richie decayed, skin graying, uniform fraying, until only the woman remained, filling the frame. Ava's pulse hammered. Her thumb hovered over delete, but she saved the clip instead. Compelled by a mix of guilt and instinct for story, Ava left the suite and slipped down the staff stairwell. Fluorescent bulbs buzzed overhead. She turned a corner and found Richie slumped against the wall, exactly like the video's first loop. Eyes clouded, phone fused into melted plastic with his palm. A soft mechanical click-click echoed from somewhere deeper in the corridor like a film reel at its tail. Ava froze. Behind her, the hallway security mirror showed two silhouettes, her own and that of a woman in beaded gown, standing too close, head tilted in curiosity. Ava ran from the service corridor, heart piston hammering, shoes skidding on checkered tile. She burst into the lobby just as night settled fully outside. Jazz standards trickled from hidden speakers, masking her ragged breaths. Two security guards followed her pointing, but when they reached the spot where Bellhop Richie had been slumped only minutes earlier, the corridor was spotless, no uniform, no melted phone, just bleach-bright linoleum. The hotel edits its own evidence, she thought, throat tight. In an attempt to prove that something was wrong, Ava opened Instagram Live, framing the grand staircase behind her. Comments poured in. Slate blue dress? That wasn't there before. Why's the filter locking on the lady behind you? Ava felt a breath of perfume gardenia and ozone. On screen, the face-tracking squares ignored her and latched onto the translucent woman from her first selfie. The app's mouth-stretch filter activated without her touch, widening the specter's smile until it bisected her cheeks. Ava ended the stream, hands shaking, but the app wouldn't close. Instead, it played the ghostly grin on loop, each cycle leaching color from Ava's own face in the preview thumbnail. Across the lobby, a pair of travel vloggers, Tara and Jet, were recording a TikTok dance. Overhead lamps snapped off. The only light came from their phone screens, strobing to the rhythm of their ring light. 3 pulses. 4. On the 5th, the lights returned and Tara and Jet were gone. 2 smoking phone cases lay on the marble like spent matchbooks. The other guests screamed. The concierge calmly phoned engineering about another short circuit. Panic spread. Guests discovered their devices freezing on random black and white images, static photos of the hotel from decades ago. Screens gave off a deathly chill. Some people dropped their phones as though frost burned. The Wi-Fi status wheel spun endlessly. A handheld EMF reader carried by a ghost-hunting podcaster screeched into the red. Fleeing the chaos, Ava slipped behind the concierge desk where she met Silas Graves, the night clerk. Lanky, late 40s, wire-rimmed glasses, ink on his cuffs. He ushered her into his lamplit office, half check-in station, half film archive. Stacked along the walls were metal canisters labeled LaRue, Premiere Night, Lost Footage. Silas listened as Ava recounted Ricci's fate and the ghostly photobombs. When she showed him the glitching DM, he paled. "Nitrate ghosts," he whispered. "Cameras can trap a soul if the emulsion never sets." This hotel used to develop reels in-house. Some never finished processing. He produced a battered Geiger counter-like device. The EMF spikes aren't electrical, they're exposures. Every time the spirit manifests, it drags the past into the present like double printing film. Back in the lobby, Ava tried one more selfie for evidence. The instant the shutter fired, her preview image, blurred eyes smudged, features erased as if overbrushed in Photoshop. Beside her, the ghost's figure stood razor sharp, stepping nearer. In the saved photo, the specter's hand rested on Ava's shoulder. Ava could feel the weight, though nothing touched her skin. A notification slid across the screen. Exposure 2 complete developing. Lobby chandeliers flickered, but this time the bulbs shed a sepia glow, tinting every surface like aged film stock. Silas emerged from his office, face drawn. "If the hotel's shutter is open twice," he warned, "the 3rd time is when the picture sticks." Ava's phone chimed. A new follower request at Tara and Jet returned dash, with a live video thumbnail spinning in endless buffering. She didn't press play. Ava bolted her door against the sepia-lit lobby, adrenaline fizzing. Her phone pinged a FaceTime request from Mark Dillon, her ex-boyfriend and occasional cameraman. "Thought you could use backup," he said. Backdrop flashing airport taxi lights. "I'm 20 minutes away." Mark had once steadied her when drafts of online hate rattled her nerves. Tonight his voice felt like an anchor. Ava warned him to avoid selfies, mirrors, anything reflective. He laughed, classic skeptic. Yet when the call ended, Ava noticed her side of the thumbnail was blurred again, while Mark's image remained sharp. Determined to prove they weren't hallucinations, Ava rendezvoused with Silas outside the disused royal ballroom, now sealed by velvet ropes. Silas produced a brass master key. "Service elevators behind the mirror corridor," he murmured. "Engineering claims it's disconnected, but the hotel keeps routing power there." They advanced into a passage-lined floor to ceiling with beveled mirrors. Each pane carried a thin dust film that muted reflections to a grayscale shimmer. As they moved, Ava noticed something unnerving. Her mirrored self lagged by half a second, as though awaiting directorial cues. Silas's reflection stayed perfectly synchronous. Halfway down, a sign appeared that neither remembered passing. "Phantom Floor 13, nitrogen monoxide access during shooting." They reached an Art Deco elevator with opal buttons. The panel jumped from 7 to 13, though Ava knew no such floor existed. Silas pressed it. The doors closed with a shutter snap. Seconds into ascent, the car jolted, then plunged in free fall. Overhead bulbs flared blood red. Ava's scream came out muffled, like soundproofed studio audio. She braced for impact, but the car stopped smoothly, doors parting onto a corridor illuminated by pulsating exit signs. Bloody handprints streaked the inside of the elevator glass. Silas traced one finger along a smear. Red turned to fine crimson dust. "Film dust," he whispered. "Nitrate decomposition." Footsteps echoed. Mark appeared, slightly winded but grinning, dangling a DSLR. Elevator skipped every even floor. "Nice haunted house touch." Ava begged him not to shoot, but Mark raised the camera, framing the corridor. The DSLR powered itself off. Mirrors along the hall brightened, showing Mark surrounded by looping projections of 1930s reporters' flashing bulbs. "Smoke and mirrors," he muttered, swinging his tripod to smash a pane. The moment metal struck glass, shards froze mid-air, rearranging into the perfect circle of a camera lens. They whirred clockwise, then shot forward like shrapnel. Ava dragged Silas behind a pillar. Mark wasn't fast enough. Glass needles pinned him upright against the opposite wall in cruciform pose. His eyes filmed over to dead white. Within each shard, miniature projections replayed Mark's final seconds, impact, shock, stillness on endless loop. Ava's reflection stepped out of one mirror, smiling serenely at the tableau before slipping back inside. Alarm klaxons blared. Chandeliers along the phantom floor strobed at 24 FPS, a perfect film rate. Ava's phone vibrated. Exposure complete. Image locking. Her live preview revealed she was semi-transparent. The ghost woman's opacity neared full flesh. Silas seized her wrist. "The picture's sticking. We get out, or you're celluloid forever." They sprinted back toward the elevator, but every mirror now showed alternate timelines. Ava in 1931 evening wear, Mark alive and laughing, Tara and Jet performing their dance mid-flash. Each corridor branch seemed to lead into a different reel. Ava felt gravity vanish. She was choosing a path through possible edits. Finally, a door marked cutting room swung open ahead, spilling red darkroom light onto the hall. With nowhere else to run, Ava and Silas dashed inside as the mirrors behind them fused into a solid sheet of silver nitrate. Red safe light bled through the threshold as Ava and Silas slammed the door behind them. Inside, humidity clung like a fever. Steel drying racks cradled loops of undeveloped 35mm nitrate film, their frames flickering faint after images, though no projector ran. A wall clock ticked maddeningly at 24 beats per minute, matching the chandelier strobe outside. Silas clicked on a portable viewer and fed the nearest reel through. The sprockets advanced by themselves, stopping at a frame, a 1931 newsreel of the Hollywood Hotel's grand premiere. Centered in the image stood starlet Lillian LaRue and, shockingly, Silas, unchanged by 94 years, holding a clapperboard. Silas's face drained. I never shot a picture in my life," he stammered. "The hotel must have written me in." As they watched, the frame burned from the center outward, bubbling with orange flame. Acrid smoke coiled from the viewer, shaping Lillian's face in the air. The smoke drifted to Ava. When it touched her nostrils, a vision hit. Red carpet, popping flashbulbs, Mark alive, grinning men impaled by mirror shards on repeat. Film rewind, play rewind. Ava reeled back, gagging on celluloid fumes. The smoke spread, reaching a hiding ghost hunting podcaster, Daria, who had followed them unnoticed. Daria inhaled and began reciting, voice hollow. "I left my sister alone the night she overdosed." Her confession echoed, screen printed across the hanging reels. Mid-sentence, her heart failed. She collapsed, eyes wide, the words exposed, branded across the nearest film strip. Silas whispered that nitrate film stored not only images, but guilt, unfinished emotions that kept the chemistry volatile. Ava's pocket felt hot. She pulled out her DSLR's SD card, the one containing every selfie since check-in. Edges were charred, plastic smoking. On its label, letters blistered into view. Reel subject number 2, take 3. Silas realized the hotel cataloged souls by storage medium. Phone memory, SD cards, mirrors. 3 exposures had tagged Ava as Lillian's co-star. The card was her casting slip. "We have to bleach the negatives," he said. "Destroy the chemistry before it fixes permanently." They located a chemical locker. Canisters of sodium hypochlorite used for archival cleaning. As Silas pried one open, the racks of film began to whip like serpents. Frames projected ghost-bright images of every vanished guest, Tara and Jet, bellhop Richie, Mark, each screaming silently. Ava hurled bleach across the nearest reel. White smoke erupted. The projected victims flickered, faces easing into peace before vanishing. Yet where each reel dissolved, strips snaked toward Ava, melding into her semi-transparent arms like intravenous film. Lillian's voice murmured from all directions. "Finish the picture, darling, or burn with it." In the chaos, Silas toppled, revealing a tattoo across his chest, tiny frame numbers, and date slugs matching the reels. Ava understood. Silas was the hotel's editor, doomed to shepherd each new host. Every time he tried to help, the hotel rewrote him deeper into the film. Tearfully, He gave Ava a vintage film splicer blade. "Cut me out when it's time," he begged. "Splice you free." Sprinkler pipes overhead groaned. Red safe lights shattered, showering sparks. The pair climbed a maintenance ladder through a ceiling hatch into an abandoned projection booth overlooking the royal ballroom. Projectors sat dormant, but magazine reels were already loaded, labeled Lillian NAV Finn. Before Silas could eject them, a power surge rolled through projectors spun to life, aiming at curtained ballroom screens below. In the flicker, Ava saw herself future footage, wearing a 1930s gown, leading a crowd in choreographed dance. Silas shouted, "The hotel's cueing its climax." Ava yanked the main breaker. Projectors died, but one lens stayed glowing, powered by nothing, its beam crystallizing into a mirror-perfect copy of her. The copy lifted a finger to its lip sheath and stepped through the booth's glass, vanishing toward the ballroom. Ava gripped the splicer blade. Next reel, I cut. Gray daylight leaked through Suite 708's damask curtains. Ava jolted awake on the velvet-fainting couch still in the projection. Booth memories felt minutes old, yet now she wore a champagne silk evening gown trimmed in seed pearls. Her phone displayed 10:03 a.m. and an unfamiliar notification. Post successful 6:06 ami. First sunrise at #Hollywood Hotel. Filming starts tonight. The attached photo showed her in the lobby at dawn, smiling beside concierge Delacroix. Ava had never left the suite. A rapid knock. Rena Chon, Ava's best friend and fellow content creator, burst in waving a gimbal. Epic collab time. Your invite said rooftop gala tonight. Look at these numbers. Ava stammered, trying and failing to explain the double. Before she could insist on caution, the suite door opened again. A perfect copy of Ava stepped inside, hair immaculately waved, phone live streaming to thousands. Chat scrawl, twin reveal, scripted stunt genius. Rena, thrilled, interviewed both. Avas, the doppelganger, spoke in Ava's cadence, but peppered sentences with 1930s slang. Swell, bee's knees. Viewers assumed it was a filter. Rena initiated a split-screen TikTok live. On screen, two Avas sat side by side. Mid-stream, a lag caused the screens to swap positions repeatedly, until for one frame, both halves showed Ava behind herself. Comments exploded with heart emojis. Then chat messages turned frantic. Why is left Ava staring dead at us? Her pupils just flipped to film countdown numbers. Left screen Ava raised her phone to the camera. The feed zoomed into an end roll countdown 8, 7, 6. The live stream crashed worldwide. The real Ava experienced blackouts whenever she closed her eyes longer than a blink. Her Fitbit registered micro naps where 3 hours passed in 30 seconds. During each lapse, she'd awaken one wardrobe change closer to 1931. Hollywood chic feathered fascinator, opera gloves, fox stole. Silas theorized the hotel was editing her into period continuity, scene by scene. Afternoon sun bled sepia through hall windows as Rena prepared a solo cue and in the suite's mirror-lined antechamber. Ava argued with Silas in the hallway, plotting to reach the basement darkroom and splice negatives. Inside, Rena's reflection detached, stepping out in ghostly transparency. Real Rena froze mid-sentence, fingers athroat. The reflection's hands tightened. Ava burst in. Too late, Rena's body sagged, eyes filming over. The mirror, Rena grinned, dissolved into silver dust. Where Rena's corpse had lain now rested a printed glossy headshot Rena in 1930s wardrobe, labeled stand-in number 4 Rena Chun. Ava screamed, clutching the splicer blade. Silas restrained her, whispering, "You can't fight Prince Cut the Master Real." Ava's phone vibrated nonstop. Auto-scheduled posts announced tonight's Silver Screen Revival Gala atop the hotel. Guest list: every major influencer within 200 miles plus Tara and Jet, Mark, and Rena tagged as special performers. Their accounts, though they were dead, were actively responding with scripted enthusiasm. Silas: the hotel's algorithm is populating its final scene. If we destroy the negatives first, the gala can't render. Elevator call buttons lit themselves in sequence 7, 6, 5 descending. Brass doors opened to reveal a dark shaft with rungs along the wall, glowing faint crimson below. Ava steeled herself. Silas followed. Mid-descent, the shaft walls projected looping footage of them climbing, but in one loop, Ava was missing. A chill swept through. Film dust drifted upward. Radio speaker above crackled with Lillian's voice. Places. Quiet on set. Curtain rises at 8 sharp. They touched bottom. A narrow hallway ending at room 1313, door ajar. Red light pulsing like a heartbeat. Inside room 1313, rows of chemical trays shimmered under safe lights. On the far wall, freshly developing Polaroids clipped to lines showed future deaths time-stamped for the gala, silhouetted bodies tumbling from rooftop, limbs snapping under dance poses. Frontmost photo, Ava, mid-waltz with Lillian, smile serene, timestamp 8:08 p.m., only 90 minutes away. Ava raised the splicer blade. We cut the negatives, we cut the script. Red bulbs flared to white. Shadowy hands erupted from the trays, yanking Silas's arm as though inviting him back to his editor's bay. Ava lunged to pull him free fade to black. Shadow fingers dragged Silas' waist deep into the developer tray. Acrid fixer sloshed over the lip, eating holes in the floor tile. Ava hacked downward with the splicer blade, severing 2 umbra wrists. They burst into silver vapor. She yanked Silas free. His sleeves smoked where liquid had touched, not burn marks, but blank spots, as if parts of him were never printed. Rows of still wet Polaroids swayed overhead, drip drying on fishing line. Each bore a name, timestamp, and black ink caption. Polaroid caption time. Polaroid Tara and Jet, locked in ballroom dip caption. Scene 12, Swan Dive, time 8:04 p.m., Polaroid Ezra, impaled by glass caption. Scene 15, Flash Fail, time 8:05 p.m., Polaroid Silas, submerged in fixer bath caption. Scene 18. Director cut. Time 8:06 p.m. Polaroid Ava and Lillian waltzing. Caption. Finale. Immortal celluloid. Time 8:08 p.m. The timestamps marched forward in real time. 7:47, 7:48. Door banged open. Ezra stumbled in, face blue lit by dying phone. He spotted his own Polaroid and bolted toward the service stairwell. Ava chased, but metal doors slammed. Through the darkroom's tiny observation window, she glimpsed the stairwell floodlight explode at precisely 8:05. A shard spearing Ezra's throat. The photograph come true. His Polaroid above them faded to white, then fluttered, blank, to the floor. Ava slashed her 8:08 Polaroid in half. Another print slid out of a vintage instant camera beside the sink. Same image. Timestamp now 8:07. The hotel was tightening the edit. Silas, trembling, admitted the darkroom functioned like a negative engine. Destroying a print merely cued an earlier version. To break the loop, the underlying reel had to lose its anchor, the editor's signature. He unbuttoned his shirt. Tiny frame numbers tattooed across his torso glowed crimson, syncing with the wall clock. Silas arranged 4 collapsing studio lights into a square, bulbs set to strobe every 1/24th second. He poured Fixer into the central tray until it reflected the ceiling like a tarnished mirror. Nitrate ghosts need an audience, he muttered. So we'll give them only me. Ava protested. Silas pressed the splicer blade into her palm. Your job is to cut the last reel once I'm gone. That's how you stay written out. The strobes ignited. Lillian's form coalesced over the tray, gossamer gown rippling. Her voice slipped from every speaker, every drain. My darling editor finally ready to print our masterpiece? Silas answered by stepping into the tray. Fixer frothed. Film emulsions crawled up his legs, spooling into the projector mounted above. He recited a broken, clabbered prayer. Scene 18 director cut fade to black. His body dissolved like wet newsprint, skeleton sinking beneath bubbling chemicals. Overhead, Polaroids burst into flame one by one. Souls flickered free as embers. Without its editor, enlargers sparked, reels whipped from racks, and safe lights shattered. A back wall cracked open, revealing a maintenance shaft ascending straight to the ballroom service corridor. Ava, half-transparent, felt nitrate burns along her arms, now threaded with sprocket-hole scars. Before climbing, she saw only 2 Polaroids left unburned on the line. 1. Ava and Lillian, 8:08 p.m. 2. Audience Worldwide Live. Both glowed with fresh developer. A nearby clock read 7:59 p.m. Carrying Silas's blade and her last glowing Polaroid, Ava ascended the shaft. Each rung triggered camera flashes from invisible paparazzi below. At the top hatch, she heard music, a 1930s big band waltz remixed with trap beats. Her phone vibrated to life, broadcasting a new stream titled Hollywood Hotel Grand Finale. Join the dance. Ava killed the feed, but the screen overlaid a single countdown, 0 hours 9 minutes and 58 seconds. 0 hours 9 minutes and 57 seconds. She pushed the hatch, emerging behind velvet curtains of the rooftop ballroom, breath catching in the glitter of hundreds of guests already swaying phones held high, eyes vacant, awaiting their cues. Fade out. Ava slipped through the velvet curtains and found herself on the rooftop, ballroom, a glass-floored pavilion spanning the hotel's peak. The Los Angeles skyline glittered beneath, but the night above was wrong. Clouds rolled like smoke from a projector lamp, speckled with white flecks that drifted downward, burning nitrate ash. Hundreds of influencers milled about in spontaneous 1930s attire tuxes, sequined gowns, though many swore they'd arrived in streetwear. Their phones hovered in front of their faces, as if on invisible gimbals, lenses trained on a central dais. Tiny red record lights glowed like demon pupils. Every device displayed the same banner: Silver Screen Revival Live. From hidden speakers, a swing trap remix roared to life. Spotlights sliced the night, painting spiral irises across the crowd. A voice Lillian's rang through PA horns and every phone speaker simultaneously. Places, darlings, one take only. Guests turned in unison. Pupils flashed with spinning countdown numbers, the same leader tape Silas used to sync reels. They linked arms, forming concentric circles, as if choreographed by an unseen director. Ava's own feet slid across the floor, compelled by a current in the glass. She fought the motion, gripping Silas's splicer blade tucked under her belt. Her half-transparent hands left smears of static where they touched railings. A 30-foot LED wall flickered on. It mirrored the rooftop feed, overlaid by chat bubbles and billions of heart emojis. In living rooms worldwide, phones auto-opened the stream. Families watched, amused, confused. For each heart tapped, a translucent film strip coiled tighter around a dancer's throat on screen. Yet the audience only saw a cute animation of floating ribbons. Ava, among the dancers, heard cartilage creak. Some guests smiled serenely. Others gargled as ribbons constricted. Music shifted to a slow waltz set at exactly 24 beats per minute. Step wrong, and the glass floor beneath a dancer fractured. They plummeted through illusions of spotlights into black void, no screams, only the shutter click sound effect. At 8:04 p.m., Tara and Jera and Jet Circle stepped mistimed. Floor shards cracked like ice, and they vanished. Phones still filming empty space. The LED wall instantly replayed their fall on loop, adding an old film vignette. Chat hearts surged. The doppelganger emerged atop the dais, down glittering. She extended a hand. Ava's Polaroid materialized between her fingers. Timestamp now 8 hours 8 minutes and 0 seconds. The copy addressed the crowd and camera with Ava's exact voice. Time for the final dance, the immortal take. Ava lunged, but invisible resistance, like thick celluloid, pushed her back. The copy flicked the Polaroid. It spun mid-air, slicing Ava's cheek. Where blood should be, black film emulsion oozed. Remembering Silas's directive, Ava scanned for the master projector. Above the LED wall, a vintage carbon arc projector whirred, feeding a gleaming reel labeled finale. Its beam struck a mirror-polished reflector plate that redirected light onto the crowd, overlaying their A filters. Ava climbed a catwalk amid sparking cables. Each rung triggered holographic flashbulbs. The beam heated her spectral skin. Below, more dancers' misstepped bones snapped under impossible tortions, limbs hanging at unnatural angles, yet faces kept smiling under the filter. Reaching the projector, Ava jammed the splicer blade between gate and reel cut. Film unspooled in frantic jerks, tangling like black ivy. Instantly, dancers' eyes cleared. Phones clattered to the floor. The projector's light flickered to white, then dark. Silence reigned a heartbeat. Then, nitrate ash swirling in the sky condensed into Lillian's luminous form, colossal, her face projected on every screen. She reached for Ava with arms kilometers long in forced perspective. If the reel burns, you will take its place. Ava's body rippled. Sprocket holes perforated her forearms. The doppelganger below shattered into loose frames of film that whipped upward, wrapping Ava like celluloid bandages. The Polaroid timestamp flickered 8 hours, 8 minutes, and 7 seconds. 8:09 stuck unresolved. LED wall went blank, except for 2 buttons. Keep rolling. End film. Worldwide viewers saw the same poll. They hesitated, many still thought it marketing. Ava, bound in rising film, stared directly into the main broadcast camera. End it, please. Somewhere, a child pressed. The vote counter ticked, first slow, then avalanche. When it passed 51%, the projector erupted, spraying molten carbon arc across the catwalk. Film around Ava ignited in blue-white flame, but she felt only heatless wind. Lillian screamed, voice stretched tape slow, echoing no, oh, oh. Her giant form pixelated, breaking into frames that fluttered away like moths. The timestamp on the Polaroid blinked 8 hours, 8 minutes, and 10 seconds, then evaporated. Sprinklers triggered, hissing over broken glass. Survivors stumbled, some crying, some still live streaming in shock. Phones rebooted to normal home screens. The roof haze cleared, revealing ordinary night sky. Ava collapsed beside the ruined projector. Her arms were human again, though sprocket scars remained faintly. She clutched Silas's splicer blade, its edge now dull, blackened. First responders' sirens wailed from the street below. Ava looked over the parapet. Shards of the glass floor had become mere debris on hotel scaffolding, no bodies. As medics ushered guests downstairs, Ava retrieved one intact shard of the reflector plate. Its mirrored surface showed not her face, but Lillian's, smiling faintly. Ava tucked it into her coat. Down in the lobby, she passed the concierge desk. The guest book lay open. Her signature bled upward again, spelling 3 words. Roll camera number 3. Dawn's blue-gray seeped across the shattered rooftop. Sirens receded. Survivors descended, leaving Ava alone among shards of glass and melted film. Blood-warm breeze teased her hair, no longer scented with nitrate, yet uncanny still. She unwrapped the mirror shard she'd pocketed. Lillian's face floated within like a fish under ice, lips mouthing silent dialogue. At her feet lay the guest book she'd glimpsed in the lobby, but now pages fluttered by invisible draft. The fresh ink spelled again. Elevators were dead, yet Art Deco signs blinked Set B Ballroom. Compelled, Ava followed flickering green arrows through staff corridors. With each step, decor morphed from smoke-stained 2025 plaster to polished 1931 gilt. Time overlapped like double exposure. She entered the ballroom. Chandeliers glowed golden. Tables were reset for gala premiere night. A lone phonograph crackled with stardust. In the center stood Lillian LaRue, seamless, corporeal, bound shimmering. She held Ava's unburnt Polaroid. Timestamp blank, future undecided. Lillian extended a satin-gloved hand. Stay in the frame, Ava. Together we'll loop forever adored, ageless. She gestured. Mirrors manifested around the room, each displaying future headlines. Ava Ramirez and Lost Starlet holographic icon duo. The promise. Eternal relevance. Ava's fingertips tingled. Half-faded sprocket scars glowed, tempting acceptance. Ava slid Silas's dulled splicer blade from her boot. Fame doesn't last, stories do. I choose an ending. She slammed the mirror shard onto the Polaroid. Glass webbed with cracks, mixing silver nitrate and instant emulsion. Lillian shrieked. Mirrors rippled like water. Ava lifted her battered phone, the lens a spider-cracked starburst, and snapped one last picture of the splintering. Polaroid mirror sandwich. Flash. Everything reversed polarity. Ballroom lights inverted to negative. Music warped tape slow. Lillian's body fragmented into film strips, spiraling upward, sucked toward the phone's dying LCD. Silence. Then the lobby's revolving door spun. Ava found herself standing on terrazzo floors, gleaming like wet ink. The air smelled of fresh paint and optimism. Bellhops in crisp uniforms joked about opening night. No one noticed her. She glanced in a mirror. She cast no reflection. Instead, the ghost of bellhop Richie waved from within, alive, oblivious. Tara and Jet danced through reception rehearsing TikTok moves they hadn't invented yet. Time had rewound to May 21st, 1931 hotel grand opening. Behind the concierge desk, guest book lay blank. A fountain pen floated subtly, writing Ava Ramirez, concierge. She felt tethered, neither dead nor alive, but custodian. The hotel still needed a gatekeeper. Cycle broken, yet haunt persists. She whispered, I'll watch the door. The lobby doors parted. Modern tourists entered, selfie sticks ready. One snapped a photo. On the phone screen, faint double exposure revealed Ava behind the desk, smiling gently, transparent enough to miss unless one looks twice. Weeks later, a travel vlogger uploads Hidden Gem Hotels of L.A. Viewers freeze frame at 2:13. In the ornate lobby shot, a ghostly woman with 1930s waves stands behind them. Finger to lips in eternal she. Roll credits.